Hello, this is Brooke at Boss Moves and Benefits. And today we're sitting down with our friends, Jonathan and Kristen from Navitus. We're going to be talking about our unique solutions and levers that we can pull to help with your PBM and all of your pharmacy administration. So to kick us off and kind of loosen this up, I just wanted to get to know you guys a little bit more. So tell me top 3 words that you would use to describe yourself. Who wants to go first?
Kristen.
Oh, top 3 words. Jonathan said I'm resilient, so I guess resilient is a fair one. Fun-loving.
Yeah.
I don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, I think that's important. Jonathan, what about you?
I'd have to go with the Jets fan, sad and angry.
Very complex.
With a smile on his face.
Does that go along with the Jets fans? Is that the sad and angry?
Complimentary. Complimentary.
For good measure, Ken, what would you use?
Oh, persistent. Try to be friendly.
Paddleboardy.
Paddleboardy.
That's where the persistency comes in.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I think to the notion that, what saying, it's like 80% is just showing up, and so, just show up, be persistent, whether that is, that's work, that's working out, that's being there for your family and your friends. You're not always going to feel like it, and you might not always hit it out of the park, but just keep moving. Just show up and be there.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. I always go by, first and foremost, I'm a wife, then I'm a mother, and then I am insanely optimistic to a fault. So sometimes that puts me in really odd situations. I've traveled to many countries where people told me I shouldn't go. I had a great time, met amazing people. Actually, that's how I stumbled upon my husband. So optimization or optimistic is definitely one of my strong suits.
I need some of that right now.
Right? I think everybody did a little cup of optimize in the morning. So let's think, Ken, do we want to kind of start off with a general overview of things that we can start to do, or maybe HR administrators when they're thinking about their PBM, what conversations we should start to bring up?
Yeah, so, we've chatted with Jonathan, with Kristen about the role of the PBM in general. But when we think about kind of levers to pull or options that we have to mitigate costs and kind of ultimately, pursue what is our ultimate goal, which is serving consumers, we think about one, patient assistant programs. And then there's another one out there called couponing. But, we also get very focused on jargon. And so it probably helps just to back up a second and explain to folks what these programs are. So let's start with patient assistance. Jonathan, how would you describe a patient assistance program in the realm of PBM?
So patient assistance program is a way to get a specialty drug, a high cost drug, from a manufacturer subsidized, essentially. And usually it's based on income tier. So there's a threshold under which a patient would get a subsidization. It is typically carved out from the RX plan, meaning that it's sort of standalone and there's no actual benefit coverage coming through the plan for it, if that makes sense.
Right. So in that sense, this is a service that you're providing on behalf of the plan, on behalf of the member.
Correct. So we will be the sort of go between the manufacturer, who of course we have a direct line of contact with, and the member or employee.
So is this something that the member has to ask for?
It's not something that they have to ask for. It's something that would be triggered automatically, and then they would have paperwork and some stuff to fill out, which they would have help with.
Ideally, it's what the employer opts into, right? So where would they putting that in the scope of, okay, we're a self-funded plan. I have a PBM. I've never heard of PAP. Why? So how would they initiate those conversations or ask the question if it's not being introduced initially?
Well, that's your job.
Yeah.
So typically what we would do is, and it's a really good question because we're often sort of hit with the surprise tone of, wait, you guys have PAP?
Yeah.
Like, it's in all of our sales decks, right? So
did you read the PowerPoint?
Why, for some reason, people don't think that we have it. Look, the bottom line is, especially if you're a pass-through transparent PBM, you're going to have a lot of programs, right?
Right.
Because there's a lot of ways to kind of tweak and save money in the system. So the advisors we work with, like CBC, or our sales folks, myself included, or Kristen, our leader, would have to essentially make that known to the employer that it exists, and then juxtaposition it. Excuse me, I tried to use a big word, with the other programs that might be precluded because of it. So you're not going to have PAP and copay assistance running parallel.
Right.
Is that right?
You're going to
that wrong?
maximize one, but you can't double dip.
Right.
Right. Okay.
You know,
Yeah. From the member
Cut back.
experience, you
from the
can
member experience. So,
Yeah.
when you're looking
Right.
at patient assistance and the specialty access programs that are out there, our role, like Jonathan said, is to facilitate and to have experts on, in our team that they know who to call at the manufacturer. They know which drugs. We have it set up in our system that there's a flag and it'll trigger. So the minute a patient goes to try to fill that drug at the pharmacy, it will flag and say, this is in that category.
Mhm.
And we want to go ahead and get that application, get that completed, and walk that path with you.
So then the real world example of how that would benefit a member, right? So member goes to fill the script, trigger happens, they're qualifying for this assistance program. What does that mean to them in terms of dollars out of the pocket?
Well, it depends on what the level of the subsidy or funding from the manufacturer is ultimately, because it's sort of graded in the same way like the health exchanges are, ACA type stuff.
So manufacturers run it in varying degrees. Some where they'll only offer it if there's no coverage by the benefit plan.
Mhm.
And so employer groups will look at certain disease categories or drug mix that there may not be coverage for certain specialty drugs that are only available through an exception to coverage. And so then that category of drugs sits in that specialty access program bucket.
Mhm.
So should a member or a member's family become ill and need that drug, they go down this path outside of the benefit. And we navigate that with them and on their behalf. There are others where it may be, yes, there are copay or assistance programs just to manage the member portion, but there are and some drugs that are so expensive that you can take it a step further and apply because of the financial need of the member.
Right.
So we see PAP as a term and as an acronym. We see patient assistance programs pretty prevalent in the industry and with PBMs in general. How would you describe the way yours differentiates itself up against competitors broadly?
It comes to managing as many specialty drugs that are available,
Mhm.
having a very seasoned team that is dedicated and they're experts in this space. We don't carve it out. We don't farm it out. We don't contract with a third party. And so it also provides full data to the employer. You're not trying to match up data within their benefit and then with a third party vendor. You can keep it all under one umbrella and you can see the total care, the total cost of care from the plan sponsor and the member across the board.
I think that's good. Just to touch on not carving it out and moving it to another third party, because even as a consultant or they're working with our account managers, what we see is troublesome sometimes with some PBMs is they have to go through multiple steps to find conflict resolution. If we do have a member having a problem, it is advantageous to keep it under one house so that they don't have to go to all these different contacts, and then the response time obviously gets longer. Something I thought that was important that you touched on with the PAP program, you said that there are income restrictions. And I always like to mention about discrimination. So even though that there are income restrictions, we do have to make sure that all members know, right? We can't just classify it into one small bucket. So I always like to make that small point to
Good point.
administrators.
The one thing I like about this, and as we've talked about as a theme, is for all the levers and all the things that we have to do, and all the aspects of program management that we have to be cognizant of at all times. The ultimate goal is getting people the care they need, right?
Mhm.
And so I think I put this in that bucket of this is driving folks, facilitating folks to get access to the drugs they need when they need them. And if they can get it for much, much cheaper, then please, it's all about doing the right thing, right? So I love that aspect of it. But
Yeah.
there's other things that we could do as well in terms, in addition to patient assistance programs. We talked at the top also, or we mentioned at the top about couponing.
Mhm.
So where does that come into play as well?
Right. So again, as the PBM, you know, the nuts and bolts is processing the claim and making sure the benefit is adhered to. And
Right.
we do that, and that's the table stakes. Bringing on these programs, keeping them in-house so that the information flow is consistent, so that the patient experience is seamless. That's where we've continued to add these valuable programs in our house. And with the couponing or the manufacturer assistance that's available, we bring in a larger volume of drugs in the program. Oftentimes, your third-party vendors, they're offering these programs for specialty drugs. You're very high cost. Well, 50% of your spend is in specialty, but that only impacts 1 to 2% of the patients.
Right.
What about all the diabetic drugs that are getting more expensive? Even some of the traditional drugs out there, they may not be qualified as a specialty drug, but it's still a $400 drug or an expensive drug. And if we can bring savings to that member, $20, $100, all of that matters. And so we have a very in-depth list of drugs available that we run through the program and make available.
Yeah.
The other thing where we're different is we're pharmacy agnostic. So we're not driving or forcing members to a certain pharmacy. They can go to any pharmacy, and then we work with them on the enrollment process.
And then any contributions, or even if they use a coupon, to still go to their deductibles, out of pockets, things of that nature.
Right.
Because one thing that some pharmacies will maybe set them up with a coupon that's outside of the plan, and then they're not paying towards their plan. So I see that as some like educating the members almost in that point with the couponing program and what their experience is going to be, especially if we have people that come from like a marketplace plan, they come onto their group plan and they don't understand why the prices change, or maybe that they always had this coupon program direct with the manufacturer, but now they have to actually use it through the PBM, which is a little bit different.
And the programs continuously change.
Yep.
The value that's available for discounts or assistance, they change all the time. As drug pricing increases and decreases across different drug classes, we work with the manufacturers to better understand that, and again, keep the members informed and educated.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does that look like? I mean, from a member's experience, they walk into the pharmacy, they may be eligible for either a PAP program or a couponing. How does that experience look when they go and actually pick up the prescription?
Well, that's part of our communication process. We make sure that we have the appropriate flags in place so that if they do try to fill, we can minimize the delay in them accessing the drugs. We know how important it is to speed to fill, but we do have mechanisms to reach out to them with lettering, with phone calls, with outreach in order to let them know that this is a program they need to apply for. And then we, again, help them with that application process, not just push it off on them,
Right.
but hold their hand.
Right. Yeah. So the member experience is usually they'll get a phone call, outreach letter, and then they can kind of be handhold through that experience so that they can either see if they qualify, and if they don't qualify, maybe there's some other things that may be eligible for.
Exactly.
What I really like too is the notifications, right? For like from the employer standpoint, if we have someone that is not maybe opting out of the PAP program and trying to find other solutions for them. So are you guys working direct with consultants to ensure that members are getting the best experience, or what does that look like from the administration standpoint?
The broker and consultant relationship is pivotal to how we operate. And that's another unique part of the Navitus, kind of our key accounts in this self-funded under 5,000 space.
Mm-hmm.
The knowledge you have as a consultant broker, the partnership we share in educating the clients and making sure that dialogue it's a three-way dialogue.
Could you give me some examples of what I would say we could expect some mid-year changes for?
Sure. So we have our P&T Pharmaceutical and Therapeutic Committee, which is including, non-Navitus medical directors and such. We review quarterly. And if there are new entrants to the market that are FDA approved, once they're approved, if we have the appropriate waiting period, we may make those adjustments and additions based on the recommendations of the P&T committee. And then we put out the notifications in advance so that people understand that something's going on or off formulary.
Right.
Usually it has to do with around generic or biosimilar entrants or exits of brands in the market.
Yeah. So administrators are well prepared well before the transition happens.
Communication is key.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that sort of covers what we wanted to chat with you guys about with PAP programs and couponing. Just in the light of being in Vegas, is there anything that you guys are going to do while you're here? Because you came and visit us? Anything fun?
I'm actually going to go with a counter Vegas element here, and I'm going to say go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
Maybe a workout. Have
Maybe
dinner with you
workout.
guys.
Yeah, there you go. Nice and simple. Eat lovely food. Go to sleep.
Exactly.
Get
Right.
on a flight
That's
tomorrow.
right. Dinner and a cocktail.
Right.
No more dry January, right, Ken?
Right. Exactly.
Well, hey, we appreciate you guys making your way all the way out here to Las Vegas to talk about patient assistance program and all the advantages that we believe Navitus has on behalf of the CBC Health Insurance Marketplace for Costco members and for the clients and members that entrust CBC with their benefit plans. So thank you again, Jonathan and Kristen.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you, guys.
We're excited to be here.
All right. Thanks for joining us at Boss Moves and Benefits. Find this episode on our YouTube channel, or you can go and download it wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you.